What's up, everybody? Sean here, and I want to talk today about what you should do in the case of losing your job during the coronavirus, during this pandemic. Or let's say you haven't lost your job, but you have a reduced hours, you've been furloughed, reduced income, or honestly just anybody in general. This is the first thing I would say you need to do. Number one is you need to first just take a deep breath and kind of get your mind right. If you need to get yourself in an empowered state, using physical means. I talk about this all the time with my clients, and that is that you need to first start by doing something physical. It could be going for a jog, a power walk, push-ups, some breath work, some power breath work, something that gets your body moving and woken up. Then obviously do some gratitude checks, stuff like that. Because what we gotta do is before we begin diving into anything, we have to get ourselves in a state of gratitude and a state of empowerment. You cannot make great decisions in life for your future if you're acting out of fear. And of course, it's a natural reaction in a case like this, like maybe you've lost your job, and that's totally understandable. But we gotta make sure that when we do this, and that we plunge forward and we play offense instead of playing defense, which we're going to talk about, that we're coming from a state of abundance and gratitude and not making decisions based off of fear. So you've taken a deep breath. You've gotten yourself physically prepped, ready to go. Mentally, you've done some gratitude work. Now it's time to actually do some work. Now there's two different ways in which we're going to tackle this. We have to think short term, and then we got to think long term. All right. So the short term is what you're going to do is you're just going to get a real assessment of what your situation actually looks like. And I'm talking about from a financial standpoint. So you need to go through your expenses and figure out how much do I need at the bare minimum in order to begin at least keeping afloat. So for some of you, that might be, you add up all your expenses and that's $1,200 a month. For some of you, it could be $2,000, could be $3,000 a month. I don't know. It could be even more than that, could be less than what we're talking about. But you've got to get a real assessment of what needs to happen to stay afloat. All right. So the goal is we figure out a short-term quick solution to keeping afloat and at least not hemorrhaging, at least not going negative during this time frame. Then while we do that, we're going to figure out how do we find our new purpose and passion? How do we begin rebuilding ourselves and rebuilding our future so that we forge ahead even stronger than we were before this? Okay. So we start, like I said, we start with this short term first, figure out exactly how much you need to make. All right, so the result is I need to make $1,200 a month. The result is I need to make $2,000 a month, whatever that is to keep you afloat. Then break it down more specifically. So let's just keep numbers easy, and let's say that your expenses are $4,000 a month and you need $4,000 a month to keep afloat. Well, what is that? That's $1,000 a week. And then you can say, okay, if I work for 5 days, that's basically $200 a day that I need to make. The more specific that we get, the easier it is to understand how we can go about this. Part of the problem that people have is that they just kind of think, oh, I gotta make money somehow, but they're not specific. The more specificity that you have, the clearer the vision that you may have. So then you say, okay, look, I gotta make $200 a day, 5 days out of the week, or I could work 6 or 7 days out of the week. Doesn't really matter. I just need to stay afloat temporarily. Then you start asking yourself, what can I do to make this kind of money? If you are comfortable and okay with going out of your house at this point in time, there's a lot of great options out there that people are doing to make some money depending on where you live. So like a few things would be Instacart. I actually have a few friends that I know that for a while was making upwards of like $1,500 to $2,000 a week for a while. Now it has changed a little bit, but you can definitely make at least $1,000 a week if you're hustling it on Instacart. Things like Uber Eats, things like I probably wouldn't recommend Postmates, but Postmates is out there, Grubhub, different things. And, you just got to work it. You hustle it. There could be other options. There are still places that are hiring, places like Trader Joe's, Target. You've got to find something though. Look, this is not your new career. This is not something that you're going to be doing for the next 20 years probably. But we want to make sure that we get ourselves into a state of where we're no longer fearful of what happens if I completely run out of money. Now, what if you're saying, hey, that's great, but I don't feel comfortable getting out of the house? Well, you gotta start asking yourself, what else could you do? I've seen all kinds of things. I've seen people opening up micro kitchens. So, where they start making some food because they're really good at certain types of, dishes, and then they start selling them to people nearby who knows about it. So you just got to get a list of your skill set. So If you're not okay with just doing getting out, doing a side hustle, maybe you're worried about, being out right now, that's okay. We got to get a strong assessment of what are your particular skill sets. What are some services that you can offer while staying at home or, without going out very much. So get a strong assessment of what am I good at? What do I have any knowledge in? What service could I provide online? Then you're going to have to figure out, how do I find those target audience? How do I find those people that need my service? But the goal is you've got to find something short-term to simply cover the costs of living. That way you're no longer fearful of, I might lose my place, I might not be able to pay for food or whatever. Once you do that and you solve the short-term, next what you want to do is you want to kind of think long-term strategy, okay? Because this side job, this little side hustle thing we're talking about, pretty good likelihood you're not going to be doing this for the rest of your career, but we need to find something in the interim during this pandemic, during this tragic time, that you can do to at least keep yourself afloat. While we're doing that, now we got to make a new assessment, and we need to be recreating and re-strategizing what is going to happen for us, how we're going to forge ahead in the long term. Because some of you guys, the jobs that you've lost, your industry may not come back for a long time. I have a lot of friends who, work in different sectors and industries where it involves large crowds of people. And let's face it, even if we start finding the vaccination soon, even if things start to look better, we're probably not going to be doing really large events and gatherings in the near future. I mean, at least in the next few months, 6 months, maybe even a year, depending on how things roll out. So a lot of these people are having to retool, and they're having to figure out, what do I do? So once again, you want to get a list of a couple different things. Number one is, what are some skill sets that I have? What are you good at? What do you have some knowledge in? What do you like doing? All right, write a strong list. Figure out activities, like what kind of activities do you enjoy? Because what we're wanting to do is we're wanting to figure out who we are at the core. We got to reassess, our values, what kind of impact we want to create on society, and we may have to recreate who we are and have a new career path. Or maybe, who knows? It may, your job may come back here in a little bit. But regardless, you've got to get a strong assessment of who you are. What kind of impact do you want to make? What kind of skill sets do you have? How do you want to be remembered? What is your overall life mission statement? What is your purpose in life? What were you designed to do? What were you born to do in society? Once you do that, you got to figure out also, what are you passionate about? Like, what kind of things move you that, you could talk about at any time. You could listen to it, read about it. You could do it incessantly. What is it that makes you tick? What makes you passionate? What makes you excited? What fuels you? What makes you smile from ear to ear when you even think about it? And then you want to think about, like, economically, is like, what could someone pay you to do? Now, the possibilities are literally endless if we get in a right mindset. I mean, literally, I was just working with a girl, and we were kind of going through it, and she had this, like, huge passion for French culture. She loves everything French. She loves the food. She loves the language. She loves the culture. I mean, she loves everything French. And then we started going through, like, well, what kind of skills do you have? Well, she had a skill for writing. She loved to write. She was good at it. She felt she had a good way of communicating. Then we also figured out, what else? It's like, well, I like telling story. I like helping people share their story and their mission. And what she found that really worked for her was that she began getting into marketing and helping companies and businesses market who they are and their mission and story, utilizing French flair. And what it did was it helped her still encompass, things that she was passionate about. So, French culture, things like that. It gave her a unique advantage because while other people were trying to help these companies, hers was unique. It had French flair to it. So she utilized French words into their messaging, their key messaging points, which kind of really helped her stand out a little bit. And it also gave her a greater sense of utilizing her skill set, utilizing her passions. But you need to go through, you need to think about, what am I good at? What kind of skills do I have? What am I passionate about? And begin asking, what is my overall purpose? What kind of impact do I want to create? Because as you move forward, as you find a new career, as you find a new job, ideally you want to find something that's in sync with your mission, with your purpose, because that's what's going to allow you to not only have a job that you enjoy, but a job that really truly ignites you, that allows you to succeed at a really high level. Many of us, we have jobs that we're able to do, and it's not that we necessarily hate them, but we don't necessarily enjoy them. And when you don't enjoy them, you're not going to be able to put in the extra effort to continue to build yourself and to have the greatest level of success possible, because you don't have that true passion for it. So I highly recommend, if you just lost your job, you're in a tough situation, short-term, long-term. Short-term, think, what kind of expenses do I have right now? What do I need to do to just stay afloat? And then begin strategizing. Get specific with the result that you want. I need to at least make $3,000 a month, $4,000 a month, and then break it down. $1,000 a week. Then you say, okay, what are all the different ways right now that I could potentially make money based on skill sets that I have, what I'm willing to do, and maybe that I have a passion for, maybe not short term, but then break all those strategies down and start exploring or start experimenting and seeing what gives you the greatest value for your time, what pays you the most for your time. Now, when you do that, you begin meeting your basic essential needs for income, then we need to start looking at your long-term strategy. Figure out who you are at the core. What are your values? What is it that really makes you tick? What is your life mission? Figure out your skill sets, figure out your passion, what people might pay you for, and start looking at how do all these things come together? How do they branch? And it may be confusing at first, but like, for instance, for me, when I thought back of okay, I loved soccer. That was my life. I loved music and acting. That was another big passion of mine. And I remember another time that it was a financial related. I remember helping one of my friends years ago who just was going to have to leave Los Angeles because he had he was struggling financially and he was going to have to give up his dream. And I told him, I was like, no, man, I do not, come over. Let's go through this. We went through his income, his expenses, everything. We mapped out a full strategy financially to help him pay off his debts, help him get back into a good place. I just saw him light up. I saw him ignite. And I knew, it was like, man, I love providing strategy. And now, so I started thinking, back in the day, it's like, well, how does all this work together? What does soccer have to do with acting? And what does all these things have to do with finances? And what I realized is that, look, all those things are activities. And while we might be passionate about the activity, it's not the actual activity itself. So maybe you're like, oh, I love writing, or I love movies, I love this and that. You have to ask yourself, what does these things represent for you? You see, for me, soccer was a sense of community. I loved the energy of being on the field. I loved having a sense of leadership and camaraderie with my teammates. Acting was the same thing. When I thought about acting and what I really enjoyed about it the most, it was the fact that I had influence. I had the ability to make people cry. I had the ability to make people laugh. I had the attention, all these different things. I noticed that I loved leadership, and that is what I got out of acting. And when it came to finances, I loved strategy. And when I started thinking about the deeper meaning behind these things of leadership, communication, strategy, being part of a team, helping others, I started realizing that coaching was huge for me, and it really opened a whole new pathway for myself. But that's what I recommend that you do. Now, if you don't want to do your own thing, you still want to find a job, then figure out the core, figure out what kind of impact you want to have. Get on things like LinkedIn, start connecting with people, build that network. That network equals your net worth, people. So build the network, communicate with as many people as you can, provide value. So do not just go out there and be like, hey, give me a job. I need a job. I'm desperate. That you're not going to get something that way. You have to provide value. You have to build authentic communication and authentic relationships with people and share your mission, share your story. No one's going to give you a job just because you want a job. But someone will give you a job if they see the passion, they see your mission, they see what you're about, what kind of impact you want to have, and that company and their mission is in line with what you want. But that's my recommendation. I know this is a scary time for most people. Hopefully this helped you out. By the way, if you need help, I've got my email below for a free coaching consultation. So if you're really stuck, shoot me an email. We'll hop you on a free 30-minute phone consultation to kind of talk over what you're struggling with, some strategies for you, what you might be able to do. And also, be sure to smash that like button for me. Hit the subscribe button as well. It would mean the world to me. This provided value for you. Here to help you out however you can, but keep your head strong. Stay focused. Stay communicated with those around you, friends and family. Keep a sense of community. And I wish you the most during this time. Like I said, hit me up on that email below for some more coaching if you need it. Be sure to subscribe, and we will talk to you soon. Stay safe.